What's good, my bros, my doggios? We are back here again with another video. It's gonna be on my DJ in a bit. Give an actual little talk this time, you know what I mean? Not gonna be doing a reaction video. I could drop one later today, but nonetheless, let's get into what happened on Monday Night Raw last night for all the wrestling fans out there. What went down? Let's get into that thing, boy. Sorry, a little dancer. What's up, there? Anyway, nonetheless, let's get into it, man. So we started off the show with my boy LA Knight. Yeah. Basically admitting that, he had to step into the mud. He had to eat a little crow. Last week, going up against Roman Reigns and stuff like that, because, that was that segment where Roman Reigns was taking LA Knight down and stuff like that. And he was making Solo have to basically beat him up. And basically, that boy, LA Knight was like, appreciating Solo for, pretty much standing up for himself, unlike the other Bloodline members who just want to be controlled by Roman Reigns. So Solo, obviously, last week he went in there, and hit the thumb spike onto freaking on the Roman Reigns. So that was a great segment, stuff like that. So he's referencing that and just giving that shout out to Solo and stuff like that. So as he's giving his appreciation from Solo, you hear Solo go, yeah, you know what I mean? And so Solo comes in there and he does LA Knight's catchphrase. He like, let me talk to you. You feel what I'm saying? And so he's basically, they continue in their little buddy cop story and stuff like that. Solo even tries to do the what everybody's saying, and then LA was like, nah, I gave you one. Now I'm gonna give you a warning shot. And then he hit Solo's pew, because that's how Solo been making fun of him. And then so they're obviously out there, bragging and boasting about having their little comedy segment, but that interrupts, or I should say gets interrupted by the USOS. So the USOS saying, hey, we about to basically serve your head up on the platter to the tribal chief, Solo, for what you did and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He told Solo, this your warning shot. Bow. But then Solo hit the whoa, you know what I mean? He hit the goddamn Matrix and said, nah, your shot's not good enough. So Solo was hilarious, did the Matrix, and that boy Jay like, I know you're not doing the goddamn Matrix to the warning shot or whatever. And Solo is like, what? It sounds like y'all want to fight. It sounds like y'all want a tag match. It's gonna be the two of yous in the Usos versus me and LA Knight. And he basically asked, if LA Knight was about it. LA Knight says, yeah, Solo says that your warning shot, he gives them their warning shot, pew. And that boy LA said, pew, pew, we about to smack your brains back. The factory settings with everybody saying LA Knight, yeah. So we had that tag match set up for the main event. So nice little way to set up the match. Other things that happened was, like I said before, I wasn't that interested in the Luchador tournament matches. Like, I wasn't that invested. I think it's because a lot of these Luchadors I didn't know, but I will admit, I did find myself getting into the Rey Fenix Dragon Lee match. They had a really good match. Dragon Lee did a nice dive to the outside where he hits the ropes, and he does a crazy dive. Like, he'll like shoot through the ropes, but then as he's flying through the ropes, he'll do like a little senton where, he tucks his chin and kind of does that little, senton, swanton type maneuver. So that looked really good as he went right into the table on the Rey Fenix. And then there was a point where Dragon Lee went for a move. Rey Fenix does a front roll, and somersault into a cutter. And then it ended with Rey Fenix hitting the Mexican Muscle Buster for the 1, 2, 3 as Rey eventually advanced into the tournament, and his brother Penta ended up advancing into the tournament in the finals when he beat La Parka. So it's going to be brother versus brother, the match we've all been waiting for, a tag team we are waiting to be, that is still, God done this dangerous, that is still awaiting to be reunited, and that is Rey Fenix and Penta. So they met up at the top of the ramp later tonight after they had both of the tournament matches. So now it's going to be those two in the finals, Lucha v Lucha. It should be a great match, you know what I mean? Both of the guys can wrestle. Penta's popular amongst the fans, they're legitimate brothers, so they got plenty of chemistry in the ring. So we should see a Luchador classic. That is the match I am definitely wanting to see, man. So as they fight for the finals, which obviously Penta's gonna win because he's the most popular and he's been doing his thing, so makes sense. But nonetheless, LA actually pointed out, of course, Roman wants to, say that I gotta, win things like a tournament, but then makes a tournament where I'm not in it. So I've meant to say that, because it was all luchadors. So fun how that works. But forgot to mention that LA Knight did also mention that, said that in his promo. You know what I mean? But anyway, other things that happened on the show was Roxanne Perez did take on Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie did get the win. Becky came out there and told Stephanie, you owe me two, because she came out there and helped her when yesterday was interfering. The match, she came out to help her. She said, you owe me two now, basically, you know what I mean? Two of them favors need to be up on your dummy. You feel me? Ranking up on that tab. But that did happen on the show tonight. Another thing that happened before the main event was my boys, not just my boy, but my boys, Braun Breaker, and that boy Obafemi, you know what I mean? They're doing their thing. So they did a great storytelling situation here, I felt, because they had a contract signing where obviously Adam Pearce, the GM, and then Paul Heyman, obviously, he want to be making all this. He was standing in the ring like a proud dad watching these guys go at it on the microphone, because when Braun Breaker comes out there, I think Paul had shook Oba's hand, but he didn't really shake Braun's hand when he came in there, so it could be a little favoritism there, and they kind of alluded to it later in the contract signing. But the promo basically started off with Braun Breaker saying that, the only reason why you're in the position you're in is because I got injured. Had I not gotten injured, I would have been in the spot that everybody's like hyping you up to be in right now. And the fact that, he was kind of downplaying Obafemi's accomplishments, like, you beat Brock Lesnar. That's cool. You won King of the Ring. All right, that's nice. But none of those to me sound like championships. Now, obviously, Braun's got to talk his trash and kind of, downplay what Oba's done, because Oba's been on a hell of a, win streak. God damn, I'm itching. Oba's been on this win streak, has only had one loss, and that being the Brock. So, because he's been beating everybody that's been put in front of him, he's obviously got to find some type of way to like jab Oba. And he also kind of said, any other match that wasn't against Brock, has kind of been just like, these short matches, like, these squash matches, Like, basically, his whole point was, you have not been into a match, like, you've never been, like, into a match for a, like, lengthy amount of time, so you don't really know what it's like for, like, somebody of my caliber to drag you into the deep end. So that was his whole thing. And so only problem I had with this promo segment was, because Braun Breaker has been with the Vision and hasn't really gotten a notable win since he beat Seth at Backlash, so that's been a minute now. It's been several months since then, since he's gotten like a big legitimate win. So it did kind of make Braun Breaker's line struggle to kind of stick. Like I said, I know he tried to kind of brag over the fact that, well, I have, even though you've beaten Brock and won King of the Ring, like, I've actually won championships around here, like, So he tried to kind of, like I said, downplay what Oba's done, but it's just hard to do, considering the fact that, when you're beating one of the best to ever do it in Brock, and one of the best combat athletes in the game, it's hard to downplay that type of victory, especially when he beat him multiple times. But, he tried nonetheless. I respect the efforts. But Obafemi come back with, all right, so you want to talk like, okay, basically I'm only in this position because you got hurt, so I basically had to take myself, because Braun said I had to take myself out because nobody else was man enough to do it. Or I ended up taking myself out because nobody here was man enough to be able to do it. And Oba said, you know what, dude, if this was like 2002, when John Cena, basically hadn't found himself at that time. So he was like, if this was 2002, you were competing with guys like John Cena at the time, I think you would have been a face of this company. You know what I mean? You would have been destined for greatness. If this was 2015 and it was the big dog, right? Kind of alluding to Roman Reigns a little bit. If this was the big dog, 2015, that's, who you were going up against. I think you would have steamrolled past them and you would have been a face of this company. But unfortunately, this is 2026. Oh, I can't even do it. 2026. I can't. What? Okay. Golly. Sorry. 2026. Sorry. Got to take a finger down. And you're going against the ruler Obafemi. Like, basically, unfortunately for you, now that I'm your competition, like, your chances of being the face of this company now has drastically gone down. Like, you don't got it in the bag no more. And he also called him a angry orange man. I thought that was funny because of that spray tan. But nonetheless, he was like, basically, he's going to prove to him that, that he's better than him in every aspect of this industry, and that, he's going to be facing, as he always say, the ruler, the destroyer, the bringer of war, the mountain you can't climb and all this other stuff. So, yeah, he basically saying, he about to beat Braun Breaker. And so Braun Breaker comes back with, like I said, that he is going to beat up Obafemi. He's going to drag him to the deep waters. He's going to make sure that, his air, there's no air in his lungs, and that his legs are going to give out. Because basically his whole thing is like, I'm going to take you to the deep end because, like, no one's done that to you before. Like, yeah, you've been, in there with Brock Lesnar, but, like, you've never been in a lengthy match where someone is, like, beating the hell out you and knocking the wind out you to the point where, like, you're not going to be able to get back up. That type of thing. So, nonetheless, Braun Breaker says, you know what? as after he says that he's gonna be the one guy that Obafemi can't beat, he tells Paul like, or he tells Oba, sign the contract, or do you need your daddy to sign it for you? Because Paul Heyman's been kind of buddy with Obafemi since his guy Brock went down, so he's like yelling at Paul to sign it because you're feeling up the rage and anger, and it's kind of used more or less like a ploy to get the cheap shot on Obafemi, even though he did hit him in the face, so it wasn't like he had him from behind. But anyway, big shot to the face of Obafemi. He beating him up. Obafemi then goozles him. That was funny. He goozled him like he was gonna choke slam through the table, but then my boy Austin Theory, I know it ain't always popular like Austin Theory because of how they doing his character presentation, but nonetheless, Austin Theory comes out there, beats up on Obafemi alongside Braun Breaker, and then he sets up Obafemi for the spear. Braun hits both of the ropes, gets caught with a boot by Obafemi. Obafemi does his pizza toss shot slam as he picks up Austin Theory, tosses him, and throws him into the goddamn announce table. I mean, that probably hurt, I'm sure, because I heard going through the table that way where you don't split down the middle, you go where your body is laying the same direction the table is, when your feet is here, your head is there, and it's the same thing with the table. I heard that's the worst way to land through it than just going through it clean down the middle. But nonetheless, he took that type of punishment in the match. In the segment, and then Braun gets thrown over the top rope by Obafemi, and Obafemi's basically is letting him know he coming for him. You know what I mean? So there's that. I thought that was good. Thought it was a good contract signing. Obviously, if they were to have a longer feud, which I kind of hope this is a longer feud, because now that my boy Bronson Reed been getting brolic, I mean, he was already big, but getting brolic and now toned up. So that boy Bronson Reed, I mean, honestly, should be back anytime soon. I think that'd be a great way to interject him into this, because we know Obafemi has to lose matches, so I think a great way to do that, if you want to protect the guy still, considering he's gone to war many times with Brock Lesnar and survived multiple F5s and all this other stuff, the way to kind of protect that a little bit, honestly, could be what Braun was saying, as far as I'm taking you through the deep waters in this match so that by the time I hit you, kind of with my best shot, you're not gonna be able to get up, because I think that's kind of what he was mentioning, as far as the reason why basically that he's gonna beat him is because it's not gonna be one of these short matches where you're just gonna be able to pop back up, you know what I mean, because he's gonna make him wrestle for a while. But nonetheless, hopefully that boy Bronson Reed could come back into this, because I mean, he's a freak of nature himself, so that would be a really good way to continue this, which I would think they can, because if Oba just beats Braun Breaker, I think that's kind of a flat finish if he just beats him, you know what I mean, it kind of doesn't make Braun look like the future if Oba just beats him straight up. So I would love for that to happen, because this could be some really good stuff. You got two young guys feuding right now for that number one spot as the future, so I think they should continue this with that boy Bronson Reed, hopefully being able to come in like a wrecking ball, you know what I mean, and demolish and fuck some shit up, you know what I mean. That'd be great to see, to continue this. But really good segment. There was obviously the ways, like I said, they could have gone in a little more on each other, because Obafemi could have, pointed, if I was booking it, Obafemi could have honestly pointed jabs at the fact that Braun Breaker had, even before he got injured, he had those opportunities to become world champion, right? Because he was in the King of the Ring, he didn't win it. He had that world title match with CM Punk at the beginning of the year, didn't win it. So he really could have really poked the fun at, hey, but even before you left, even before you left, you weren't capitalizing on those big opportunities, because you were getting those opportunities long before I got called up. And then he also could have pointed at the fact, because I think Braun in the promo also said that you've had everything kind of handed to you. And if I'm a Obafemi, I'm like, wait, you kind of more the guy that had everything handed to you, Mr. Steiner, right? You kind of had the best performance center in the world and training camp with the WWE's performance center handed to you when you basically, failed at football and whatever. Now, granted, I had the performance center too. They called me up from, college, but the difference is I've done more with my opportunities in a shorter amount of time than you have. So he really could have went in on him a little extra, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's just me always trying to enhance a segment. But nonetheless, still thought they did good. And if anything, they can mention these things, in the next coming weeks if they continue to feud. So that'd be dope. Nonetheless, main event was the USOS versus LA Knight and Solo Dolo SIKOA. So match kind of was, kind of your standard tag match. Wasn't anything crazy. basically how the ending of it was Jay was about to do something to Solo. He like did the yeet, assuming that he's about to like hit a move on the Solo as they're up against the barricade, and then Royce Keys comes back. And I think for enough, Corey Graves called him, I think, Hobbs on commentary, but Royce Keys comes back, bulldozes through the barricade, and new call-ups from NXT, the tag team OTM, I forget their names, but nonetheless, OTM, they are officially called up for the main roster. You know, they all kind of pulled up in the black jeans and the black wife beaters, so they got a little got a little look going on together. And so yeah, they just was destroying everybody. They hit Solo. I don't know if it was Solo that they hit with the steps. I know they hit LA Knight with the steps. And I think Solo got hit with the steps as well. I mean, they was beating up the Usos and Solo and LA Knight, and you can kind of hear Powerhouse Hobbs, Royce Keys say that yo, like basically, like, you know, you didn't help me, because, you know, he got taken out by Jacob and beaten bloody by Jacob Fatu, you know, a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. And so he's like, basically, like, I'm attacking y'all for that reason. Like, y'all, you know, there's a reason why the Usos ain't the only one getting the smoke, you know. So yeah, beat them up, hit some moves onto them. I know OTM hit a tag move on the LA Knight, and then they bonked him with the steel steps as LA Knight fell out of the ring. They beat up on Solo, and then they put Jimmy Uso through the table. So yeah, it's gonna be Powerhouse Royce Keys and alongside OTM now. You know, I guess they're a group now. They have a good look together as far as that kind of like they don't F around type of look. They both got that set going for them. Now, this is a lot of people now involved in the bloodline. So on one hand, this is interesting, right? It's definitely not how I expected the show to end, how a lot of people did expect the show to end. But at the same time, the only thing I have a question of is like, this is now a lot of people involved in the bloodline. Because at first it was like, right, Roman, Usos, Jacob, that's the bloodline. Going against LA Knight is the main guy that's going to probably have a match with Roman, probably at Money in the Bank. Solo's a guy that can help him out. But now they got Powerhouse Royce Keys, and now OTM is involved in this. So I'm just thinking that's a lot of characters feeding with the bloodline right now. It's good spotlight for Royce Keys, but it's now a lot of people into this. So I don't know. There's been people that saying maybe they could do some type of triple threat for War Games this time around, right? Have Royce Keys and OTM versus LA Knight, Solo, and maybe Jacob, because like he's been kind of getting slighted by the bloodline as far as like he's kind of been cast off, like he's just in the background. So maybe that could be a thing versus, you know, Roman and the Usos. So I don't know. They've done that before as far as in NXT, like where they did the triple threat, you know, War Games match. But we'll see what happens. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But my only, like I said, questioning, even though this is actually pretty interesting to me, the only thing I'm questioning is like, because you obviously know, you know, Royce Keys going to have some things that he wants to say, and brutality he wants to dish out to Jacob, because like I said, he's the one that beat him up and took him out for as long as he did. Jacob beat up, you know, Royce Keys. So nonetheless, don't know how this is going to turn out, but it is interesting. Like I said, the only problem I would say I have with it is now there's a lot of people in this bloodline vortex, if you will. So there's a lot of people into this, but we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully that boy LA Knight, you know, this kind of now muddies the waters, because I'm like, dang, I think there was kind of a chance of LA Knight potentially win the world title against Roman, but now with Royce Keys and all them involved, I'm like, oh no, has the chances gone down again? But I don't know. Hey, we'll see how it plays out. Y'all let me know if y'all had tuned in, locked in, twin on Monday Night Raw. Let me know what your thoughts was from it in certain parts of the show. Nonetheless, I love and appreciate you guys. We're going to post every single day. Notifications I need to be on. Recommend the songs, reactions, and videos down below in the comments, and I'll get onto them as soon as possible. Just had my first day of school at UAB, so, you know, that was a thing, and I already feel tired. Definitely need my nap before I go to work. Had to get my video out still, though. But anyway, love and appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one, man. That's all I need to know. That's the vibe that DJ's on.